Okay, welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take, a whole stack of sources, articles, research, whatever you've got, and we really dig in.
Yeah, we try to pull out the most important bits, the surprising connections, um, basically the stuff you really need to know.
Skipping the noise, getting straight to the good
Doesn't it? Yeah.
stuff.
Finding those links you might miss otherwise.
Right. And for this deep dive, we've got something pretty unique. It's an AI-generated multimedia project
hmm
built around this fictional Latina artist, her whole story. And we're looking at it alongside, well, the real history of Latin jazz and a real organization that's all about elevating diverse voices.
So the sources we looked at, there's an article about the AI project itself. It's called 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 by an outfit called TATANKA. And that piece includes like a fictional story and song lyrics from the project.
Okay.
Then there's another article about TATANKA's actual real-world initiative, Orchestra Americana, and the story of one of their artists, Yuma Luna.
Gotcha. So fiction and reality kind of mirroring each other there.
Sort of, yeah. And then, crucially, we also dove into a piece about the history of jazz in Mexico specifically.
Yeah.
Gives it all context.
Okay, so our mission basically is to take all these pieces, these different angles, and unpack the big themes, right? Like identity, empowerment.
Cultural fusion,
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah. We want to see how these ideas play out, both in the AI story and in the real history and the current scene.
Because really, this dive gets into how music is way more than just notes. It's a statement of who you are.
Mm-hmm. And how leadership can pop up in really unexpected places. And maybe the most surprising part, how even AI can be like a tool to explore some deep cultural truths.
Okay, let's jump right into the core of it then. This project, Ritmos de su Fuego, the article makes it super clear up front this whole thing is AI-generated, an album and a story.
Yeah, and they're pretty open about the tech they use. ChatGPT, Meta.ai, Refusion.com, Sunodo.com for the actual generation, plus Audacity and Ubuntu for the production side.
Wow, they list it all.
They even give the specific text prompt they fed the AI to get the music. Oh, I love seeing that. Peeling back the curtain a bit. What was the prompt?
They were going for, let me see, Latino-infused smooth jazz album with a steady, expressive drum groove. Okay. The saxophone soars with soulful elegance, like Kenny G.
Kenny G. Okay.
And the drums are tight, dynamic, and atmospheric, like Phil Collins.
Phil Collins drums. That's specific.
Right. It's a definite vibe. Latino jazz, polished, introspective, and slightly cinematic.
Okay, so Kenny G sax meets Phil Collins drums in a smooth, cinematic Latin jazz setting. That paints a picture. And it sets the stage for this fictional artist, 𝗧𝗧𝗓 Rivera.
Exactly. She's the heart of it. Fictional Mexican drummer, saxophonist. But the key thing is, in this project, she's everything. Composer, performer, bandleader, even the narrator, telling her own story.
So she's got complete control within this narrative.
And her story, right away, it digs into this idea of rhythmic identity. Self-expression through rhythm. The source says for Les, rhythm isn't just technique.
It's like
fundamental. Yeah, it's her selfhood. A declaration of being. They call it the heartbeat behind the groove.
You see that in the song titles too, right? Like Detrás de los tambores, behind the sticks.
Yeah, that song's about the rhythm coming from deep inside her, feeling powerful, invincible almost when she's behind the kit.
And then there's Nadie marca el ritmo como yo. No one keeps time like me. That's pretty explicit.
Totally. Rhythm is her identity there. Lines like, my rhythm is law, my soul, star. It's not just poetry, it's framing her unique beat as her core essence, something she takes huge pride in.
And the article really uses that rhythm idea as a metaphor, doesn't it, for how she moves through the world as a woman.
Exactly. It's about presence, asserting herself when, the world might try to quiet women down. The article says she plays not to impress, but to exist fully.
Wow. That's powerful, just existing fully through her art.
And that act, using her rhythm as her voice, it's shown as connected to something bigger, too. It feels kind of spiritual, maybe ancestral.
Right, linking past and present.
Yeah, memory, lineage. There's this image in the source about the final cymbal hit in a song called El Último Platillo, the last cymbal. How that sound echoes beyond the performance into legacy. It's about the ripple effect of her beat.
So it's deeply personal, but also about legacy. Now, woven through all this is that theme of Latina empowerment, specifically in music, which can be such a male-dominated field.
Oh, absolutely. The source puts it bluntly. They never expect the drummer to be a woman, much less the one leading the band.
Yeah.
So her fictional story is just packed with these moments where she has a pushback against that skepticism.
Like that amazing story where some band leader tells her she hits the toms like a girl.
Mm-hmm. And her comeback.
Then better pray you never face a woman with a groove.
Boom. Just turns it right back around into a statement of power.
But the story makes it clear it wasn't easy. It took years, apparently, to earn what the source calls the real laughter that comes after silence. That genuine respect.
That takes time, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's that moment where the audience starts calling her Jeffa boss or chief. Right. And she reflects, that word hits different. It's like earned recognition of her skill, her authority.
And her leadership style, as it's portrayed, isn't about dominating. It seems more about community.
Yeah. Compassion, fostering community. There are lyrics quoted from Ella Marca in 44, She Keeps Time in 44, that say, to lead is to inspire. It's not about controlling.
Creating space for others.
Exactly. Making the whole band better. And this empowerment isn't just thematic. It's built into her role in the project. She composes, performs, leads, narrates.
She owns it all. Setting the tempo, defining the sound, complete artistic control.
And there's that really nice moment described where she meets a young girl who is also facing doubts about being a female drummer.
Oh, yeah. What was her advice?
Simple, but so good. The beat belongs to whoever can hold it.
Ah, perfect. Passing on that spirit.
Yeah, that self-belief, that determination.
So beyond the personal empowerment piece, the source also really ties 𝗧𝗔𝗧𝗔𝗡 music to her culture, her memories, the places that shaped her.
Definitely. The art isn't separate from her origins at all. You get these really vivid descriptions. Mexico City, Oaxaca.
Sensory details.
Yeah. And cultural symbols aren't just name-dropped. They're called instruments of memory, the palette of her art. Things like mezcal, cumbia, café de olla, boleros, they're woven into the music's fabric.
And specific songs are linked to specific experiences, right?
Like Noches en el Zócalo, Zócalo nights. It's meant to capture the vibe of Mexico City's main square. Apparently inspired by a show in Oaxaca where it rained, but people just kept dancing.
Love that. Resilience and joy.
Yeah. And then Café con Sol, Cafe with Sun, is about those quiet morning rituals. Sunlight, coffee smell, bare feet on tile. Those small things that ground her.
So they're presented as sources of strength, those everyday moments.
Totally. So you've got music, personal history, cultural memory, place. It all just converges into something that feels really soulful, more than just sound, because it's built from these conceived experiences in this case.
Okay, so that's the fictional world of Les Elena Rivera, built by AI, but exploring these very human themes. How does this connect to the real-world stuff in the other sources?
Well, the TATANKA organization and their Orchestra Americana project offer this really strong real-world parallel.
Okay, TATANKA again, but this is their actual project.
Right. Orchestra Americana is described as this genuinely revolutionary music project. Their mission is about elevating diverse voices, but crucially, through structural inclusion.
What does that mean exactly? Structural inclusion.
It means not just like having underrepresented backgrounds, giving them real creative power. They talk about seeking voices made of borders and breaks, resilience and requiem.
Wow, borders and breaks, resilience and requiem. That's a powerful phrase.
Isn't it? It speaks volumes about the life experiences shaping the music, and the source highlights the story of Yuma Luna as an example.
Yuma Luna, tell us about her.
She's from a border town, Piedras Azules. Grew up with inherited rhythms, but didn't really think of herself as someone who was supposed to be a musician, especially not formally trained. She actually taught herself on a marimba she built.
Built herself? Out of what?
Salvaged pine and old tequila bottles.
No way. That's amazing. Resourceful.
Totally. And how she got connected to Orchestra Americana is wild. Some tourist just streamed her playing online, and somehow TATANKA saw it and reached out.
Just like that. Serendipity.
Pretty much. And her experience at their compound, Tierra del Fuego, sounds like it was life-changing. She talks about being in rooms full of sound she didn't have to translate.
That sense of belonging.
Yes. And feeling seen as essential, not just exotic. That's a huge difference for artists often pushed to the margins.
Absolutely crucial.
And get this, one of her tracks, 𝗑𝗕ᗕᗕ del Sonido, Harvest of Sound, came from her just improvising in the kitchen with cooking spoons and a mate gourd.
Seriously. Kitchen improv becomes a track. That shows how integrated her art is with her life.
Right. Blurring those lines. And she also co-led a piece honoring uncredited female musicians, saying they had to make it echo anyway. That phrase again, echoing Luz's story.
Make it echo anyway. That's powerful. So Yuma's story, and then inspiring another young girl from Guatemala, it really embodies what Orchestra Americana is about.
Exactly. Finding this incredible talent and leadership in places you wouldn't normally look. Borderlands, kitchens, places far from the traditional power centers. People who maybe weren't supposed to lead, but whose art demands it.
Okay, so we have the fictional AI artist Liz and the real-world artist Ima Luna, supported by Orchestra Americana. To really get the full picture, you said we need the history of jazz in Mexico.
Yeah, that context is vital. Because jazz in Mexico isn't just, American jazz played south of the border. It has its own distinct story, its own flavor.
So what does that history look like? Where did it start?
Well, the history article tells us it first showed up in the early 20th century. Came in through port cities, mostly, like Veracruz, bringing those U.S. and Caribbean influences, syncopation, ragtime vibes.
Okay, early days.
Then, after the Mexican Revolution, say the 1920s to the 40s, Mexico City really blows up as a hub. You get famous nightclubs like Salon Los Angeles.
Right.
And a key point the source makes is that, unlike in the U.S. at the time, these jazz faces in Mexico weren't so rigidly segregated by race.
Oh, interesting. So that allowed for more mixing.
Yeah, more fluid blending between people, and also blending jazz with local styles like tropical music.
Then you get the pioneers who really shaped a Mexican jazz sound.
Exactly. In the 50s through the 70s, names like Tino Contreras, he famously fused jazz with ancient Aztec rhythms, even Arabic scales.
Wow, that's fusion.
Yeah. And Chilo Moran, known for his Latin-flavored arrangements. Eugenio Toussaint, who was massive for a modern Mexican jazz.
So a real homegrown development.
Definitely. Which then leads into the fusion era, bringing in more Afro-Cuban sounds, other Latin jazz styles. You get iconic clubs like Zinco Jazz Club, big festivals start popping up, Polanco, Jazz UV, Riviera Maya.
And education catches up too.
Conservatories start teaching jazz formally. And today, the contemporary scene just keeps that fusion alive, blending jazz with electronic music, hip-hop, indigenous sounds, you name it.
So the takeaway is that jazz in Mexico is this unique, dynamic thing. It's taken a global language and really infused it with local identity.
Precisely. It's got its own soul, its own history, and that's the rich soil where a fictional artist like Luz Elena Rivera or a real project like Orchestra Americana can feel so resonant.
Okay, let's try and weave all this together for you listening. We started with this AI-generated story, right? Luz Elena Rivera. Using tech to explore these deep human themes, identity, empowerment, culture, through her fictional journey in Latin jazz.
And that story, whether crafted by humans or algorithms, it really echoes and connects to what real organizations like TATANKA's Orchestra Americana are doing, actively finding and amplifying voices like Ima Luna's.
Artists who might otherwise be missed.
Exactly. Artists from the margins, bringing incredible talent.
And all of this, the fiction, the real-world work, it sits within this amazing, vibrant, maybe sometimes overlooked history of jazz in Mexico, a history that's always been about blending things, adapting, making something new and personal.
So why does digging into all this matter for you?
Well, I think it shows how art, no matter how it's made, even with AI, can be this incredibly powerful way to explore who we are, to challenge norms, to just assert your presence.
Yeah, and it really hammers home how vital it is to seek out diverse voices.
Yeah.
They don't just add variety, they fundamentally push art forms forward, open up new paths.
It also peels back layers on a genre like jazz, maybe shows you a side you didn't know existed, how it's been remixed and reimagined around the globe.
And at the end of the day, it's just a great reminder that powerful stories, game-changing rhythms, inspiring leaders, they don't always come from the expected places.
Right, they can come from border towns, from kitchens, from AI narratives, from anyone with the spirit to hold on to their beat, like Luz said. So we've journeyed through ◓ de su fuego, felt the pulse of Luz Elena Rivera's story, seen the real-world impact of TATANKA and artists like Ima Luna, and put it all against that backdrop of Mexican jazz history.
We've seen rhythm as identity, empowerment as this complex journey,
Yeah.
and that beautiful fusion of culture, memory, and music creating soul, and how real people and groups are lifting up those voices today.
So maybe a final thought for you to chew on as you go about your day.
Yeah, think about this. What sounds, what rhythms, what different cultural voices might enrich or even challenge the music you already love? Where else, maybe in places you haven't looked, could you find those unexpected leaders, those artistic revolutionaries just waiting to be heard?